Once upon a time, at the dawn of creation, even before the stars adorned the sky and the earth was formed, great power and living ambition arose. In the vast tapestry of power in Middle-earth's history, amidst the shadows and turmoil, one figure stands, a being of splendor and ambition, Melkor, the most powerful of the Ainur, the divine beings who shaped the world. Born from the thoughts of Eru Ilúvatar, the One, the heart of Melkor from the very beginning harbored discord, a discord that echoed throughout the centuries. Hello everyone, this is Story Hunter. In the last video, I told you about the elves, a noble and natural race that maintains balance in the world of Middle-earth. You can find a link to this video in the tips or via the link in the description. In this video, I will tell you about Melkor, the first Dark Lord in Arda. Who is he? How did he appear? Where did he live? What happened to them? Thank you for your comments, ideas for new videos, likes and subscriptions. This really motivates me to create new videos. In the Symphony of Creation, Melkor's melody was bold and commanding, but it soon diverged from the contained melody created by his gatherings. However, in the heart of Melkor lay a family of discord, a darkness that separated him from the assembly. While the Ainur created a symphony of creativity, Melkor's harmony deviated from the sublime melody woven by others. His desires were grandiose and limitless, and his thirst for power was unquenchable. In the blissful kingdom of Aman, where the Valar lived in splendor, the presence of Melkor cast a shadow of anxiety and mistrust. He longed for the light of the two trees, wonderful creatures that shone their radiance onto the earth. But instead of enjoying their birth, Melkor sought to own them, to subjugate their splendor to his will. By cunning and deceit, he sowed discord among the Ainur, turning some to his side and sowing doubt in the hearts of others. Cunning and deceit. Melkor sowed the seeds of discord among the Ainur, distorting their ideas and turning them against each other. Some were swayed by his sweet words and promises of power, while others recoiled in horror from the darkness that lay within him. But even as Melkor sought to assert his dominance, his actions caused resistance among the Valar and their allies. Melkor's character was defined by his pride and envy, as well as his insatiable thirst for power. He resents the authority of his peers and asserts his dominance over all creativity. However, despite his great strength and intelligence, Melkor's actions are ultimately driven by deep-seated fear and insecurity, the fear of being surpassed and overshadowed by others. As he sinks further into darkness, Melkor demonstrates his arrogance and malice, turning the beauty of Arda into a realm of darkness and despair. He corrupts the hearts of elves and men, causing discord and strife wherever he goes. Despite his overwhelming power, Melkor's character is tragic in many ways. His rebellion against Eru Ilúvatar ultimately leads to his own downfall, as well as the suffering and destruction of countless lives. Ultimately, he was banished from the world into the void, forever separated from the beauty and light he once craved. Chief among his opponents was Manwe, Lord of the Valar, who stood as a beacon of hope against the encroaching darkness. With the help of his brothers and the Maiar, the lesser Ainur, Manwe gathered his own. Melkor continued to move forward, driven by an insatiable thirst for superiority. In the land of Aman, where the Valar flourished, Melkor's presence cast a shadow of security and uncertainty. Over time, Melkor's lust for power only intensified, and he embarked on a path of conquest and destruction that would determine the fate of Middle-earth for a millennium to come. He longed for the light of the two trees, symbols of the power of the Valar, source and light in the world. By cunning and deceit, he sowed discord among the Ainur, turning some to his side and sowing doubt in the hearts of others. He erected mighty fortresses and sent hordes of vile creatures to the earth, seeking to crush all who dared to help him. At the time when Melkor was one of the Valar, Melkor's power had no equal among the Ainur. He had a deep understanding of how the world worked and had the ability to shape and manipulate its elements at will. However, as his desire for power grew, Melkor turned his powers towards darker ends, distorting and destroying the very fabric of creativity. In battle, Melkor often claimed command of the dark forces, including legions of orcs, balrogs, and other vile creatures who served his will. He also used cunning and deception to sow discord among his enemies to achieve his goals. In addition, Melkor for a time owned the Silmarils, the legendary jewels created by Fëanor and absorbing the light of the two trees of Valinor. These jewels were coveted by Melkor for their beauty and power, and their image played a corresponding role in his descent into darkness. Overall, although Melkor may not have wielded conventional weapons in the same way as mortal warriors, his mastery of dark magic and the manipulation of cosmic forces made him a formidable adversary in the conflicts of Middle-earth. But even when the shadow of Melkor spread across the earth, a spark of hope remained, for champions of light and courage arose among the free peoples of Middle-earth. Even as Melkor sought to assert his dominance, his actions caused resistance among the Valar and their allies. From the halls of Valinor to the furthest corners of the world, heroes and heroines rose to challenge the might of the Dark Lord, their souls undeterred by the darkness that threatened to consume them. Among these valiant souls was Fëanor, the greatest of the elven masters, whose fiery spirit burned brightly with defiance in the face of tyranny. With the help of his legendary Silmarils, jewels of unrivaled beauty and power, Fëanor waged war against the forces of Melkor, vowing to reclaim what had been stolen from him. With the help of his brothers and the Maiar, the Lesser Ainur, Manwë gathered his forces to confront Melkor and stop his destructive ambitions. In the end, it was not the force of arms or the fury of battle that led to the downfall of Melkor, but the fortitude and determination of those who opposed him. Yet Melkor's power was enormous, and his cunning was unmatched. He built mighty fortresses and unleashed legions of creatures born of his own malice to devastate the lands of Middle-earth. Among his servants were Balrogs, fearsome demons of fire and shadow, as well as monstrous dragons, whose roar echoed the rage of their master. In his quest for supremacy, Melkor waged war against all who opposed him, laying waste to kingdoms and plunging entire regions into darkness. But even as his dominion expanded, there remained a glimmer of hope, for the fire of resistance burned in the hearts of the free peoples of Middle-earth. Before his descent into darkness, Melkor seemed noble and majestic, with a commanding presence capable of rivaling even the greatest of the Valar. His uniform would have been decorated with symbols of his power, perhaps wearing a crown or scepter to signify his position among divine beings. However, as Melkor's thirst for power and domination consumed him, his appearance became more and more corrupted and monstrous. Following his rebellion against the Valar and his descent into the depths of Arda, Melkor's once magnificent form was twisted and distorted by the dark energies he embraced. After millennia of darkness and strife spreading throughout the land, Morgoth's tyranny becomes unbearable, and the free peoples of Middle-earth, led by the Valar and the Elves, unite to overthrow him. For centuries, Melkor's appearance reflected the depth of his corruption and the extent of his downfall. Yet even in his diminished state, the Dark Lord remained a formidable foe, his dark presence casting a shadow over the lands of Middle-earth for untold millennia. Although his name will be cursed and his deeds condemned, the legacy of Melkor, the fallen Ain, will remain a reminder of the eternal struggle between light and darkness in the world of Middle-earth. Thus ends the reign of Morgoth, the first Dark Lord of Middle-earth, his defeat ushering in a new era of peace and renewal, known as the Second Age. Although his legacy of strife and suffering will endure for centuries to come, Morgoth's defeat marks a turning point in the history of Middle-earth, paving the way for new heroes to emerge and the dawn of a brighter future.